New tonight, a warning from health officials and local pet owners after their dog died from a type of toxic algae in the Columbia, one Clark County health officials say they have not dealt with before. Catherine Cook's in the newsroom with what they want you to know. Catherine?
David, this type of algae forms into mats, and so far it's been found along the Columbia River. Experts say it's different from the algae blooms we've been reporting on for years, but can be just as toxic. And while these pet owners can't bring their dog back, they hope their story will save another dog's life.
Yeah!
When it comes to pets,
Cedar was the best dog.
Elise and George Pang say Cedar was about as good as any dog could be.
Very sweet, loving, great with kids.
Last October, the Pangs launched their boat from the port of Kamiswashugal to Ackerman Island on the Columbia River. It was Cedar's second birthday. He spent it running on the beach, but the Pangs say he stayed out of the river. They weren't prepared for what happened next.
All of a sudden, our dog kind of came over to where we were, and he kind of had that sick look on his face.
He got up from my feet and collapsed and then vomited, and that was basically it.
Cedar wasn't breathing, so Elise started CPR. They rushed him to a vet, but they couldn't revive him. Elise says that's when she started to feel ill.
I started to feel feelings of tingling on my tongue and some brain fog. We didn't know what it was. We were worried that it was drugs or something like that.
The vet told them it was likely a toxic algae exposure. Tests from a stomach sample confirmed that. But it wasn't from a blue-green algae bloom like this one, known to form on the surfaces of lakes and slow-moving water, but rather a benthic algae mat like this one. Experts say they can grow on riverbeds and rocks, then detach and float to shore in clumps.
It's scary to not know really what it was, and of course we hadn't heard anything about it.
This sounds like a very dangerous toxin.
Concerns over toxic algae took center stage at the Clark County Board of Health meeting last week.
So we're now asking ourselves, what can we do differently?
Environmental health specialist Maggie Palmacki says before last October, benthic algae mats weren't even on their radar. She says a second dog passed away after a benthic algae exposure in St. Helens last August. But she says it's hard to know what amount of this new form of toxic algae would be harmful.
Thresholds are based on really good science behind it, which currently doesn't exist. So I would hesitate to say we could arbitrarily select a number.
Unlike algae blooms, health officials say benthic mats don't affect the clarity of the water, making them harder to spot. Also, both forms of algae may or may not be toxic at any given time. With so many variables, Clark County Health Officer Dr. Alan Melnick says their most critical goal is public education.
Cyanotoxins can cause liver failure, among other things. So we're not trying to scare anybody. I think we just want to make sure that people are aware of this. But there's no way to test ourselves out of this ahead of time.
Health officials are warning the public through outreach and new signs on both sides of the river. The Pangs appreciate that.
We just wouldn't want anybody to go through what we had to go through.
Health officials will be monitoring for algae blooms every week through October and investigating any algae mat complaints they get as well. David?
Yeah, giving pet owners a big heads up, certainly the first step here. Thanks, Catherine.